Coach, for you, what does balance mean? I mean, not in terms of maybe pass-run sort of ratio, but just in terms of the fact that you're able to get the ball to so many different guys out there on the field. What kind of strain is that going to put on defenses now?
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of asked the balance question. 2 weeks ago, Coach Leach gave a diatribe about what balance really is, and coming from that tree of people, that's really what I think. I think balance is, because at the end of the day, all these offenses are built on, let's take what they give us. And there's going to be games you're going to run for a bunch of yards. There's going to be games where you throw for a bunch of yards. And we've all had those days. But balance to me is every skill position player on the field has a chance to be a weapon. We've had games where Trey McKitty had huge games because that's what they were giving us. And we've had games where a certain guy wins on post takeoff because they're on top, whatever it may be. But, to answer your question, I totally agree in the fact that the balance is spreading the ball, making sure that you have to defend every player on the field and you know that they're all a threat. Because once you can do that, that's when our run game will get where we need to get it. And so I just think the ability to spread the ball around, I think keeps the morale of the team better, makes your practice better, makes people more involved at practice, knowing that they're going to have an opportunity to play a role on game day.
With that in mind, what would that say about DeAndre's performance, that he was seeing the field that way to get the ball distributed like that?
Yeah, I think, a lot of that comes, Coach Taddy did a great job in terms of our plan, in terms of really what we practice. In terms of our practice efficiency, I thought last week may have been our best week. Really everything we practiced really showed up on game day. Whether it be a pressure in a certain situation, whether it be, and not that we were perfect. I mean, there's no perfect game. But just from our practice efficiency standpoint, really what we anticipated getting, that's what we got. And I thought our kids did a nice job executing, in those certain situations.
Coach Taggart was saying that he expects to have the same offensive line for the first time, in consecutive weeks. Just what's that going to mean for the offense, and how do you think it helps?
Hopefully more continuity. Now obviously the group we're about to play, they do a little bit more on defense, so we're going to have to emphasize some things this week in terms of some of their front structures and how they bounce around in and out of certain things. But hopefully some continuity, and not necessarily just continuity in terms of how you block something, but just continuity in communication, continuity and comfort in knowing that this guy next to me, has been there before. But who knows? Maybe we'll just switch the guards, for the hell of it, just to make sure we keep that record going. I don't know.
Most weeks you might have to game plan to neutralize one or two guys on a defensive front. With Clemson, all those guys are so good. How do you go about game planning for a defensive line that is so deep and so talented?
Yeah, at the end of the day, you can have 12-man pass protection, and somebody typically is probably going to end up by themselves. I mean, that's the nature of it. I think our best preparation is practice every day for us. For every great one that they've got, in practice, we've got a Brian Burns, we got a J-Rob, a Wale, a Christmas, a Marvin. We get to go against a pretty good group every day too, and so I think that ultimately more than anything else in terms of speed of the game, I think that will help us more than anything. Now in terms of preparation, I think it's just making sure that we're putting our own kids, whether it be a matchup that we know that's going to occur, just making sure that we're putting our kids in a position to be successful, and that's really going to be our focus this week.
Tempo, how important is tempo in terms of making the job of the offensive line easier? Are they not as responsible for holding blocks for as long when you guys go tempo?
Well, I think you end up doing a couple things. When there's always a threat of playing fast, I think you can limit some of the looks that you're going to get from a coordinator, knowing that it's hard to call something 6-7 words long, whether we're going to have some elaborate show, or disguise. It's a lot harder to do those things with splits and pace. And so I think number one, you can kind of take some of the call, take some of the disguise out of it when they know there's a threat that we can snap this thing 10, 12 seconds from now. I also think just in a run game standpoint, it's not necessarily you don't have to hold the block. We still got block to block. You still got to go on your guy for 6 seconds. But at the same time, I think once you can get a drive established and convert on some third downs and establish a pace, it's the back half of that 8-12 play drive. It's the back half of the second quarter, the back half of the fourth quarter where that pace, and all those little body shots kind of take their toll. And hopefully that's what makes you successful in those situations in a run game is the pace, how tired they are. Now the next group, different deal. They've got 8-10 guys they feel pretty comfortable with, rotate and keep fresh. But, from a run game standpoint, I think it helps limit look, limit disguise, and then, turns it into a conditioning test.
Coach, DeAndre didn't take a sack in that game against Wake Forest. How much do you attribute that to just his ability to recognize that pressure now?
I think the biggest thing for him, he's just really decisive. I thought that was the most decisive game he played, you know, just in terms of not necessarily decision making, you know, but just being decisive in terms of his pocket management skills, you know, getting up in the pocket, you know, putting a foot in the ground, going and creating some, you know, some space for yourself when it allows. I mean, you don't ever want to run yourself into pressure, which I see a lot of people do, but I just thought it was his most decisive game from a pocket management standpoint. So to see him improve, that's a big step.
Coach, obviously you had the long run. You know, you're not going to run 58 yards every time, but what do you need to do up front to get more of those 4, 5, 6, 7 yard games?
I think we've got to continue to do a great job, you know, using the perimeter in the run game, using the perimeter in the screen game, and continuing to add space, you know, so we can create some of those 5.5 man boxes. You know, last week was kind of a different deal. There was just so much movement. You know, that's what they were trying to do, was give you kind of an illusion of a 5-6 man box, you know, line twists and movements and games. And I thought at halftime, or really not even till then, but after the first, second drive of the game, we started identifying, hey, we're going to get this certain twist or this certain look. You know, we finally come back to the zone and bang, knock the twist off, you know, climb to that backer, you know, create the crease. So I thought it was a really nice job by Coach Fry, staff at half, kind of getting some of those things recognized, which created a big run.
What have you seen?
And our kids doing a great job executing.
Sorry, Coach. What have you seen from Naquan Murray this year in terms of consistency? Seems like he's been reliable.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think for him, you know, I mean, you've just seen kind of his growth in practice habits. You've seen his growth not in the practice field, but the meeting room, and you're starting to see that transition on game day. You know, we all know one thing about Naquan. He on game day, he is a special dude. You know, and with the ball in his hands, he's hard to get on the ground. He's going to be a guy that makes competitive plays, and so proud of him. Proud to, you know, see what he's doing, and so hopefully moving forward, you know, he'll stay healthy and keep doing what he's doing.
How important are the little details, just things like Keith changing the hand that he's carrying the ball in on a long run like that going to a game like this?
Oh, huge. You know what I'm saying? And that's every game. I mean, you can go back in every game that you've ever won and ever lost, and you can always find one little small thing that it could either blow that game open, you know, change the season for you, you know, one little detail that caused, you know, a chain of events that could create a loss. And so I think anytime you're in a big football game, it's not rising to the equation. A lot of the awful cliches that people say, it's who can do their job at a really high level over and over and over again, you know, and those details are a part of the job, you know, and so especially when you play great people, it's, you know, can we do our job better than they can do their job, you know, and that's really what it's going to come down to. And so again, you know, to answer your question, those details in big games like this are always that's what's going to be win and lose.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.